Hey guys, welcome back to Dasker Discusses. Well, it's that time of the year again where I'm going to give you guys my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2021. So let's do this. Now, what's interesting about this list, I've got it all written down here, is that few of these films were actually in my 2020 list, which is a shame because we all know what happened in 2020 with, the COVID-19 situation and about how some films got delayed or etc. Let's have a look at my list for my most anticipated films for 2021. We'll start off at number 10, Ghostbusters Afterlife. And this was part of my list in 2020 and it was actually number 10 as well. Why? Well, I'm a Ghostbusters fan. It's been directed by the son of the original director of the original movie as well. It's got that nostalgic feel, like I said in my previous, most anticipated movies of 2020 video, which I had a look at recently. And number 10 for me is Ghostbusters Afterlife. I think Paul Rudd's in it as well. Hopefully we get some sort of cameo by Dan Aykroyd or Bill Murray. Hopefully, I'm not comparing it to the reboot that they did as well, but hopefully this has a bit more nostalgia involved in it. So number 10 for me is Ghostbusters Afterlife. Number 9, I'm going to go with Eddie Murphy in Coming to America. Okay, now in my 2020 list, this was number 8. Now it's number 9 now because, I saw there's a few other movies that beat it for this year, for this list, but I saw the trailer, looked okay. Obviously, they're using the same type of formula. There's a lot of the same jokes. We know that that's going to happen, okay? But I just don't want this to end up like Dumb and Dumber 2, T.O., which was really, really subpar. So, Coming to America, part 2, or Coming to America, is my number 9 for 2020. Let's hope it's any good. I love Eddie Murphy. I love Coming to America. I can quote most of the movie, so I hope that's good. Number 8, the first horror film for the list, goes to Spiral, starring Chris Rock. I think he's got some sort of hand in producing or directing it as well. The thing is about this is that, we've had a lot of Saw films, and I was a huge fan of the first probably 3, and then after that, kind of like gave up. But Lee Whannell, James Wan, big fan of them and how they came about writing that whole series, the first one especially. But Spiral is in that kind of universe of Saw. It's got that 7 kind of vibe to it after seeing the trailer, so looking forward to seeing it. If you're not a horror film fan, I reckon this is more thriller, and it does look good. It's got that gritty look about it. So number 8 for me, definitely going to be Spiral. Number 7, directed by Peter Jackson, and no, it's not a Lord of the Rings film. I'm talking about The Beatles Get Back. Now, I saw a trailer of this the other day, and it looked pretty good. It's a lot of footage that Peter Jackson's taken from the Beatles. I think when they were making their Let It Be album or Abbey Road, or a few of them actually mixed up. And it actually looks pretty good, and I'm looking forward to seeing some sort of documentary-esque style doco on the Beatles, and I'm a big fan of the Beatles too. So yeah, number 7 for me, The Beatles Get Back, directed by Peter Jackson. Number 6, this is just simply titled Elvis, right? And the reason why I put this on the list is because of the director that's attached to it, who is actually Aussie director Baz Luhrmann. And recently, I'm a big fan of Baz Luhrmann, Romeo and Juliet, Australia to some extent, Moulin Rouge. He's made some good movies, and I reckon this could be good. This could be this year's Bohemian Rhapsody, possibly, or Rocket Man. So number 6 for me, Elvis. Number 5. Finish him! Yeah, I'm talking about Mortal Kombat. I love Mortal Kombat. Every year, every time they bring out a new game, I'm always number 1 to buy on day 1. And I love the old 90s Mortal Kombat movie. The second one was pretty bad. And this it's made in Australia as well, in Adelaide, so I'm actually looking forward to it a lot. And I think it comes out on HBO Max or something like that later in the year. So Mortal Kombat for me, definitely number 5, can't wait. Test your might. So number 4 for me is Top Gun Maverick, which was actually my number 3 pick for 2020. Again, why? That whole thing about, look, I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan, but the trailer looks awesome. This will be epic in IMAX. It's Top Gun. It's got a bit of retro feel to it. I don't know how they're going to chuck in Val Kilmer. I've heard there's some kind of reference to him. Iceman, we'll see what happens in it. But number 4 for me. It was number 3 in 2020. But my top 3, I think, are a bit better this year than last year. So let's do it. Number 4, Top Gun Maverick. Number 3. Well, again, I was a big fan of this. Another horror film, Halloween Kills. This was my number 9 in 2020, and it's jumped up to number 3. Why? because I think I was so pumped to be watching it last year, more so than Top Gun in a way. And after seeing the little teaser trailer they did, and knowing that there's only 2 more films left in this Halloween franchise, or the 3 films they're making, and it could be the end, hopefully it is, of Halloween, I'm pretty pumped for it. So coming out, I think, around Halloween. Halloween Kills, number 3, Jamie Lee Curtis. We'll see what they do there. Number 2. Well, this is a big one. Wachowskis are making this. The Matrix Part 4, Keanu Reeves. Are they bringing back Morpheus? They reckon they're not. They're bringing back Trinity. Who knows? Keanu's attached. Love John Wick. Love all them. Wasn't a big fan of his recent, reboot, remake with Bill and Ted. Face the Music. Didn't like it at all. But The Matrix 4, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but I'm pretty pumped for it. It's my number 2 on the list. I mean, come on. If you grew up in the 90s and you didn't like The Matrix because you didn't get it, rewatch it again, especially 1 and 2. 3 was not bad, but the original was the best. 2 was good. 2 I loved, a lot, but then when you watch it again, it's like, it's not the best. But Matrix 4, number 2 on my list. Now, before we get to my number 1, let's look at some honorable mentions. So my honorable mentions that aren't in the top 10 list are Space Jam 2 with LeBron James. Should be good, but again, I'm more of an MJ fan, but hey, I'll go watch Space Jam, why not? Candyman, again, another horror film remake, reboot of the original from the 90s, which I was a big fan of. I want to see what they do there. The next one, Masters of the Universe. Can't find much information on it, but again, was a fan of the Dolph Lundgren one back in the late 80s, and Courtney Cox was in it as well. Yes, it's cheesy, but you know what? I want to see what they do with this. And the last honorable mention for this year is, Jackass 4. I know they're getting old, the Jackass crew, but again, when the era that I grew up in, these guys were huge on MTV, and I want to see what happens. I actually follow Steve-O's podcast as well. Bit of a shout out to his podcast. There you go. Not that he's going to watch this. Anyway, Jackass 4 is my last honorable mention. Now to my number 1 spot for 2021. This was my number 2 spot in 2020's most anticipated films, and that is Denis Villeneuve's Dune. Remember the old video game? If you don't, well, yeah, I think it should be coming out on cinemas and HBO Max as well. It's a bit of a mess in terms of what they want to do with that. There's directors complaining about whether or not it should be on HBO Max, but Dune is my number 1 for this year. It's going to be pretty awesome. Again, I was really upset that it didn't come out last year, but, we had Tenet, thank God, my number 1 film for last year, but Dune, number 1 for me for 2021. So that's my list, guys. That's my list of most anticipated films of 2021. Please let me know what you thought of this list below in the comments. Let me know if I've missed something, or if you've got a comment, maybe you want to move a couple of the numbers around. Please let me know in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of Dasker Discusses. Boom.